Welcome, Ma'am Sri Mulyani. Good night. I also just got home from Semarang last night. Coincidentally, there is an event. It's different event. Because she was attended, we immediately respectfully are pleased to give a welcome. Ma'am Sri Mulyani, please. Later, after greetings, we can continue singing, ma'am. I think this is one of the surprise from the Indonesian Institute of Accountants. It's turned out to be fun and not as scary as many people imagine. Then if you look at the costume, my clothes have followed the one that it's given. And the funny thing is that after singing and asking me to give a space, it's really weird. So in my opinion, I won't be giving a space anyway. I was asked with a serious title, my first minister in the scale of Ainii, and I think the sole candidate for the current Congress. But if you look at the backdrop, it's full of sustainable development goals. So maybe accountants in Indonesia want to convey that we don't just look at balance sheet and income statement. We also care about goals or aspirations of the world to create a better world through 70 indicator. This is great too. As a surprise, I give a round of applause for Ainii. So this time I talk about accountant and accountability. Maybe I don't need to talk about tonight, especially after the "we will rock you" atmosphere. It's real weird. But maybe if you want to talk a little lightly, but seriously but lightly, yesterday the president had expressed his hope, maybe for all of our homework, for the journey of the Republic of Indonesia today, for the future. We had achieved a lot in the context of reformation in the 20 years. This is 2080. If you say 20 years, if a child is years old, it means that he is an adult. That means on direction. If we reform 1000 to 2080, we have achieved good law to start from the state financial law, the state treasury law, the law on the financial audit agency, the law on the financial prosecutor authority, the law on government accountability, the law on the financial crisis, the financial sector safety net GPSK, and other laws that may form foundation for financial government in Indonesia in the reforms era, whose spirit is more openness, transparency, accountability, and our journey is quite long. If I might tell you here, maybe later the conclusion is we will rock you too, right? Because we start with the balance sheet that went from not exist to exist. The balance sheet of the Republic of Indonesia. Imagine the Republic of Indonesia (IAI) is 61 years old, but Indonesia only has a balance sheet in what years, Mr. Mars? 2005. The Minister of Finance, Sri Mulyani, instantly. That bad luck, damn it, because being the Minister of Finance is constantly being asked by the state financial law to make a balance sheet. So what was previously not my favorite accounting class, I was forget to work on it and deal with it every day, which collect the balance sheet. Disclaimer, of course, and a lot of it is incomplete. The asset of incompletely, the liability are complete, because the one who has the book so asset the complete the definition of equity is not clear. So many who are sitting in this room have contributed a lot of journey of the balance sheet of the Republic of Indonesia. I should have asked Ainii to book that, because it's a really historical episode and it's the main core of the accounting profession, even if government accounting. From a balance sheet that doesn't exist to exist, and then we disclaim it to fair with and the fair without accepting. It's a long journey. How come I need to wait for my fair without acceptation to return Indonesia, right? So it's like you start it, you end it. Hopefully it will continue like that. Well, in the continue context, we actually at last already have the foundation of the laws and regulation and government and then emergency. What is called practice or business practice, good government practice, the case that really result every time every years may not match our maximum expectation. That's another rings. But at last, the foundation of the Republic of Indonesia has been laid and has been in place. Here in this room may include the late Hetinus Manao, the first time Mr. Sonny Luho was here, Mr. Vice Minister, who led to I basically say I returned to Indonesia to accept the position of Minister of Finance. That's different with the Minister of Finance in the past. I did not have a finance minister. The second at 18 months I held to be Minister of Finance and Coordination Minister for the Economy at the time. Now I hope I'm the same Minister of Finance, but I have Vice Minister and the Vice Minister are Professor of Accounting and the Chairman of Ainii. So I can simply say, in my opinion, I don't need to delay any longer, and I can accept that our financial statements are for VTB. What the Deputy Minister's job? That's my job. I don't know what the President assigned to the Vice Minister, but as the Minister, I only have one text. Mr. Vice Minister must make sure that the VTB. And with all the network and all there's influence as Professor and Ainii, we get VTB, WTV without compressing on quality, of course. Still, it is accountable, yes. Oh, Mr. Arden just arrived. So it's a journey, amazing journey. Now, if we had started to have an extraordinary foundation, which not all countries in the world have, this is the foundation. I was the CEO of the World Bank, and I went to more than 80 countries in the world, and I always saw and meet. So first I asked, does they have a balance sheet or not? Does they have a financial statement? I look at their APBN and I see their policy. So when I go to a Jamaica and they just want to start getting a single treasury, I can tell you what we did. When we talk about tracking asset and recording asset, I can tell you a lot. How relatively easy ministry that are very difficult are resistant. How can we then finally make it? It is extremely useful and rare experience, because at 192 countries in the world have experienced and achieved what we have achieved. Sometimes we forgot that Indonesia, the main thing that can be jokes about is that then things we really seriously achieve. And how when I was taught that it turned out that the state treasury and financial law requires us to make financial report the accrual. Imagine in the past I didn't like it when I was taught what accrual meant, and it turned out to have tremendous explain until we asked for a postponement because our ambition is less than 5 years. Revolution will be ready from no balance sheet, no financial statement to have balance sheet and accrual. This is what I crossed so many remarkable achievements, and this is the core in accounting. Friends at Ainii should be able to be the spokesperson, and we say that we have done so many things and then we are done. But at least Ainii is one of the professional association that can authoritative tell how this journey is extraordinary and not easy. I think I still remember when I first became this Minister of Financial. When I came to the Ainii office, all the face of the chairman. Yesterday, his face were seen lit up in the legendary lines. We discussed start from the government still facing the National Bank restructuring agency and asset which still have a lot of liability to build out, but the results are not there, or many assets are undervalued or overvalued or non exist. Maybe the certificate does exist, or the certificate after seeing it turned out that the lead is a beach or a cemetery, but its value at trillions. It was an extraordinary episode in the Republic of Indonesia. If you talk about accountability, financial crisis, and all those things, the first thing this we are try to create then the legacy problem, which then makes Indonesia relatively normal, but that doesn't mean we are constantly complacent. Instead, we have to be carefully what we achieve, we have to take care of. Therefore, I want to add fifth, third Ainii congressional and celebrity the 61 Ainii. Maybe we can have element of celebrity. This is appropriate for the various achievements that we have received, but when we celebrate, we also don't forget to look at the book. Our work is still here. The first one was delivered yesterday by the president. If we want to become an accountable country with good government, well, that doesn't mean we have to complicate it and complex. It does have to be a high-cost process. I think this is something I hope that if Prof. Mardiasmo will become chairman of Ainii again, it is homework that must be done. This means that Ainii, please think about it. Don't let everyone get a little too much. There are value accounting standard, there are ultra small business accounting standard, there are medium business accounting standard, there are holding accounting standard, there are sharing accounting standard, and others. Anyway, if all of the sudden Mr. Mardiasmo always says we will ask SAK, is that right? My stomach immediately hurt. What's more? That's it, but because I'm polite, I just smile. Only the president yesterday clearly said, don't make it more complicated. Our life already have a lot of complexity. Can you make a standard that was requested by the president clear accountability but not too complex? Accountability is not the goal. The goal is accountability so that we are able to deliver or take responsibility that we deliver. If we have this result, we use it for this, then the result should be like that. That's what should be done. Can you make it simple? And especially in the context that Ainii also need to educate all stakeholders. Don't just talk about when Ainii, there's already nervousness. If Mr. Mardiasmo sit with Mr. Adam and with Mr. Moore and the others, the three of them spoke using accounting language, my brain started to spin like that. Can you make it like more people like Chalon to understand that so he can include this? Could not download next time. Even suddenly he has talking about accounting which looks cool up, but people understand all that. If Mr. Jack Lontong just could understand, he could make a joke that could enter the head and heart of many people. Anyway, I'm happy. I'm happy if someone who seemed to be influential, like our influencer, is used as spoken person. So what the president said yesterday is a step that need to be done, homework for EAE and for tomorrow, like the chairman. Second, we are faced with a world where technology is not thing that exists and will continue to change a lot of our life, including in the concept of transparency and accountability, because when we talk about digital technology, where everything is digital footprint, it's easy to capture. Then the concept of recording and then the reporting, accountability should also change. So it's no wonder one of them said that the prophecy treatment by artificial intelligence is accountant, because the data is automatically recorded and the data is then report in format that can be analyzed by AI. So the question is, in the context technology is present and will continue to change, what is the future of governance and accountability? The concept of governance and accountability, because really what is called disrupt is technology that is disrupt business process and business model. Business process and business model, if both are disrupt, what does it mean in terms of concept of accountability and governance? What kind of new governance should be do? That is something that might be necessary. And then the nationalization, because the president is no embassy, we need to build human resource to a lot of training. Don't let us train a lot of new accounting who later become obsessed. It is a very serious homework, and it is certainly something that I also hope that this will be one of the driving factors for change. In the Ministry of Finance, we are not at all afraid to this change. Our time with the state treasury finance laws, and then we do record. The Director General of Treasury is the most affected by this situation. In the past, the government cashier received and paid for the treasury. Then we all shift to the bank, so that the Direction General of Treasury already had an information system used the state treasury and budget system, and the state review module from the previous 300 to now only 700 rupiah. That's desperate. That is something that has happened in the Ministry of Finance. We hope that going forward, the Ministry of Finance will also continue to change with the technology, and we continue to try to discuss and figure out what it means from this perspective. I hope that Ainii can become our partner, a trustworthy partner, a reliable partner, and intellectual partner, so that we can also think about where Indonesia is going in the future and what we need to design. Maybe lastly, I actually can take a long time, but for first early we talk about SDG, basically the same as all fiscal policy is an instrument of achieve the goals. Instead, accountant and accountant are instrument to achieve goal. So often in the phenom of the Republic of Indonesia, the instrument is used as a goal. The public debate is wrong. There is an obsession with the balance sheet or part the balance sheet. What it say in there is that debt continues, so forgetting that there are assets, there are equity. So we all need to get involved in public confusion. Those in the room should be able to explain to the public. Don't compute instrumentation with object. So if we use the state budget to achieve the goals of the state, namely prosperity, justice, and dignity of the Republic, then it follows its purpose, not being the one of dictate the goals. Just as before, attending and accounting are our instrument to make sure that governance is good for the purpose or creating accountability, so that the main goals or the organization or country are achieved. I really appreciate the excellent cooperation with our internal auditor, Mr. Ardan, and also our external auditor, Mr. Moore, who always seem to have at last the same spirit now. I frankly feel a very good and constructive relationship with this agency or instance, and this is something that I really appreciate. And that good relationship is not due to collusion, nepotism, or corruption. That's so different. I feel a professional relationship is mainly discussed when Mr. Moore said if you didn't do it, it could be a disclaimer because this is a significant amount. What's the institution? What's the problem? The audit board said it was because they wanted the Republic of Indonesia to be cut, not part of blackmailing. If you don't, this disclaimer is not like that. I feel very comfortable and feel that someone will take care of us later if I face something like no social security agency of LT. I have an internal auditor for the financial and development. See, Mr. Adam, please, when I can bill like this, is there anything they could show as the Minister of Finance as the state treasurer? Only now do I really feel equipped. I have the deputy minister who is professor, the chairman of the Ainii. I think I've agreed tomorrow. There's no need for another meeting. It's just a conscious that tonight breakfast will be closed tomorrow. I have an internal auditor Mr. Arden, who we can also ask for professional help. I can trust his integrity. The problem of we always continue to improve, but at last I know it's just compromise because that really improve. If audit board, which is now as extraordinary and independent external auditor, but correctly convey to us what we need to improve. This is the best setting that I can. I thank you. Hopefully with this we can achieve good goals, including the sustainable development goals. This means that it feels very helpful that the resources in this republic, wherever they are asset of Republic of Indonesia or Indonesia's cash flow, that we will constantly strive to improve. When I return to being a minister, I was given an operating report for operating income and operating expense. If we don't say that we are only satisfied with quality, but our balance sheet should also need to be improved. Our financial state needs to be improved accordingly, because I like accounting. Maybe someday I will be EIE, my honorary member of EIE. But what we want to do extraordinary, and what I fell in love with accounting when I was old. When I was young, I was confused. Pak Paul was told to balance it. It did balance. My could swear what my accounting friend arrived with minute melted and smiled. So now that I'm old, I feel in love with accounting, because it is amazing, something that always has a link. This allows us to better track where the research goes. How come you have a hobby like that? You're surprised? No wonder many people don't like accounting, because they always know where they want to go, some for what. That indeed there is no room for us to lie. The theory should be like that, but it happened in the case of Anror and Arthur Anderson. So you can also cheat with your doodle. Please, EIE, don't get sick like that. Continue to maintain integrity and professionalism, because the tools themselves are to improve the good governance and good accountability. That's what I say to cheer you all up. I was already singing. I apologize for interrupting you entertainment tonight. I hope EIE continue to be one of the pillars of good governance in the Republic of Indonesia, and can truly be a guardian for the Republic of Indonesia to move forward, for us to achieve the goals of a just, prosperous, and dignified Republic of Indonesia. Long life Indonesia. Therefore, Prof. Murma and Prof. Madiasmo respectively present an award in the form of a token to Mrs. Sri Mulyani. Next was the submission of a book with the title Confirming the Glory of Professional Accounting by Professor Mardiasmo, and handed it over to Mrs. Sri Mulyani.